New York. She was about to be sent to Israel to meet sight unseen a prominent Sephardic rabbi for the purposes of marriage. But she was not sure it was the right choice. She wanted to get advice from the one rabbi whom many considered the wisest man in the world, the seventh Lubavitcher Rebbe. As a lone student in a teacher's seminary, she felt she had no one else to turn to. She had no idea how to get an appointment, but as divine providence would have it, an elderly, bent-over chassid who turned out to be the Rebbe's private secretary noticed her, or rather me, and got an appointment for the following night. I was that teenager. When I explained my predicament to the Rebbe after calming my trembling knees, he gave one of his beautiful, gentle, paternal smiles and said in Yiddish, "Du bist du and bist dorten, du bist Ashkenaz and bist Sfard, nimm das arrive on an agenda." You're here and he's there, you're Ashkenaz and he's Sfard, take it off your agenda. From that moment on, the Rebbe was my go-to rabbi. Little did I realize at the time the Rebbe's brilliance or the huge impact he would have on the world through the vast network of Chabad houses that he started and continues to grow today. As the Zohar says, and taught by the Rebbe's first ancestor, the Alter Rebbe, greater are the righteous in passing than even in their lifetime. Once their souls leave their bodies, they are no longer confined by the Mitzrayim, the Egypt-like constraints of this world. You know, some people think that Chabad houses are funded from central headquarters. Not true. When other young couples are relaxing on their honeymoon, these followers, known as shluchim, messengers, happily and with extreme dedication, choose to go to places where they don't know anyone, and sometimes don't even know the language. Once somebody was going to a place where he couldn't speak the language, and he confided to the Rebbe that he was scared. And the Rebbe said, "I know 26 languages and I'm still learning. Go out and learn." In addition to the mandate to teach Torah to adults and children, these shluchim have to raise their own funds from people they meet. This week, a beautiful woman who perhaps was the biggest and most loving supporter philanthropically and personally of one of these remarkable Chabad houses in Poway, California, was violently torn from this world by a 19-year-old virulent anti-Semite. 60-year-old Lori Kay died by a direct shot from the rifle of the assassin. The Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein was about to conduct the Yizkor service, the memorial prayer for departed relatives, on the last day of Passover, when he came face to face with a killer. He was also about to read from the book of Isaiah about the messianic vision of a world filled with such peace that a wolf will lie down with a lamb. Even after he was shot like a faithful shepherd, Rabbi Goldstein guided everyone outside and continued to give them strength and consolation. You can find all the details on the web. I urge you to listen to some of his interviews that span a gamut of emotion, from intense grief to expressions of incredible strength and faith. Of course, we are all troubled and affected by escalating assaults and destruction of places of worship throughout the world. Father Dubois spoke in Boulder recently, said, "We have to build a new generation which can be conscious of mass crime." Together with rising anti-Semitism, there have been attacks on Christian and Muslim sacred spaces, as in Sri Lanka and New Zealand, and black churches in the USA. Places that should be the safest have become endangered, and Chabad houses among them. This was not the first time, though God willing it should be the last time, that a Chabad house was attacked. In 1956, the massacre in Mumbai, where several guests as well as the young Rabbi Holzberg and his wife were gunned down, as a very courageous Indian nanny rescued the young 2-year-old Moshe, who is now a bar mitzvah. Also this year, 5 thugs broke into the Chabad house in Nairobi, Kenya, and attacked Rabbi Vogel and his wife and stole everything of value in their home. And yes, just yesterday, a young Hasidic man was accosted on the streets in Crown Heights. How are we to understand this? Logic would expect these devoted shluchim to cave in, or in the least go dark, and not be so prominent. But dafka, they come back with greater resiliency and determination to continue their holy work of bringing light into a dark world. The Torah works all over the world, and here too, in Boulder, Colorado, we have 2 beautiful Chabad houses, Rabbi Wilhelm of CU and Rabbi Shiner of the Chabad house here, and this Shabbos, I think they're both having special services and kishas, and I hope some of you may support and attend them. Today, as we recall so many victims of the Holocaust, we too are asked to remember. But memory cannot be a mere intellectual or even emotional experience. When the Torah says many times that God, who is beyond time and space, remembered, it cannot just be about recall. The sages tell us that divine memory means that God takes action. So too are we meant to take positive action from the stirrings of our memories. What are the actions? The Jewish nation had a queen during a time of threat very similar to the Holocaust, Purim. Haman's decree of total annihilation. How did Esther react? She was willing to risk her life and soul to engage in the diplomacy of interceding with the king on behalf of her people. But she also insisted that the Jews utilize their most potent weapons, to fast and to pray for 3 days and nights. Esther overcame anti-Jewish by promoting more Jewish. Counterintuitive, you might wonder, but Rabbi Akiva compared the Jews to fish in the sea. If the waters are dangerous, how much more are the fish endangered if they abandon those waters? If the world is a dangerous place for Jews, even when they adhere to Torah, how much more dangerous if they disconnect from Torah? What about Jews in the Holocaust, you may ask? The Lubavitcher Rebbe addressed this too. He said that this was a time we cannot yet fathom why it happened. In one of his rare moments of anger, he actually railed against even rabbis who considered the Holocaust retribution for transgressions. He called the victims Kedoshim, holy ones, and referred to those survivors as Ud Mutsal Me'esh, a branch plucked from the fire. Indeed, he established Chabad houses as the Jewish response to threats of destruction. The Rebbe spoke about why good in the world must ultimately prevail. The evil of each generation eventually dissipates, but the good of all ages is cumulative and must ultimately reach a critical mass where evil implodes out of existence. And as both the Rebbe and Rabbi Goldstein pleaded, it can all start with children around the world to be provided with a moment of silence and each day to contemplate a higher purpose in their lives. Doing Jewish does not conflict with heightened security measures. Similar to personal health care, the Rebbe always recommended consulting with experts in their field in addition to taking on more Jewish practices. I think this is good advice for all of us, especially in these pre-Messianic times. We are not meant to sit back passively and wait for the promised utopia. On the contrary, it is our good deeds that hasten these prophecies. God desired to merit us by gifting us with a plethora of mitzvah opportunities, of commandments. To extend the words of Rabbi Goldstein, we are all living on borrowed time. The 50 bullets that were miraculously jammed in the assassin's rifle could have been meant for all of us. So what do we do with our added gift of life? Go to a shul this Shabbat and take someone else with you. Perhaps you'll find an answer. Lori Kay's Hebrew name is Leah. Our matriarch Leah was the first to express gratitude to God for giving her an unexpected fourth son, Judah. From Judah comes the name Yehudi, a Jew. My grandfather, who I am named after, was Yehuda. A Jew is one who expresses gratitude for life and and defends the divine image in all of humanity. As the Rebbe spoke to me, the Torah records God's parental advice to all of us. I place before you life and death. Choose life. Choose hope. Choose life. Choose compassion. And as the Rebbe would frequently plead with the entire human race, choose random acts of kindness.